Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Okay, I gotta wake up a little. Come on. I know the coffee break is soon, but we're here. Let's go. Very nice to have you all today. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the recent developments at Margik within the medical aspect of our company. And the main problem we're addressing is the lack of effective treatments for chronic wounds. And that is due to the limited effective wound treatment that can be done on the go. There's also problems with low healing wound in combination with medications. So let's say you're having blood thinners, that makes it very difficult for the wound healing. So there's different interaction issues as well, as there is lots of pain management issues associated with chronic wounds. By chronic wounds, we mean that something does not heal within 4 weeks, right? So that's considered chronic wounds. It is a huge market. It is about $25 billion market as of 2023, and it's growing at about 11% a year. And wound care market in US alone is $10 billion, which is a little over 40% of what the worldwide is. And then we're targeting specifically the chronic conditions associated with the wound care. As far as the solution that we're offering is a wound healing acceleration device, which is a non-invasive topical device that promotes 30% faster healing and is simple and safe to use independently, so you don't have to be in the office all the time in order to use the device. As far as what the product looks like, it is a wearable device that can be applied to the area with the wound, and it molds around the body in the shape of your body, which provides the best area of effect. And you simply apply the device on the disinfected area previously, and then you keep the treatment on for at least 30 minutes. The 30-minute interval is very important because this 30 minutes is a required minimum for the blood flow increase and the cell proliferation increase. That is what the competitors are lacking. A lot of these devices are lidocaine diode based, which means they overheat and they can't not use device beyond 20-minute period, which isn't even enough to get you any effect on this device. So that gives us a competitive advantage on that end. The specific wavelength that we use is exactly great for the cell proliferation increase. That is what enables that wound healing in a faster fashion. As far as what we plan to use as a business model, we plan to first go after the health and wellness salons, spas, and that's who we're currently working with closely to begin leasing some of the initial units into those places where the devices can be easily accessed by the customers without having to go through all the bureaucracy levels. But our ultimate goal and our biggest market is the hospital reach. It is be able to provide treatments for diabetic patients, patients on blood thinners, and cancer patients as well. Margik history, we were the first winner of the show Unicorn Hunter, so if you're interested, please scan the QR code. It's a very interesting show where you can see other hardware companies, but what that served us is a great jump start and support that we received in the organic lidocaine diode community, and that helped us to find some of the commercialization partners we're currently working with. We also have been able, over time since 2022, to establish some great collaborations with manufacturers like Kocherga Minolta. We're also working with Argonne National Laboratory out of Chicago, which is the top 5 leader in national laboratories in the United States and the world. And we're also partnered with the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. We're also supported by U.S. Air Force, NCID, Department of Energy, North Carolina Biotech Center, and National Science Foundation. We raised $1.8 million in government contracts. That is what enabled us to go from that idea and just a concept all the way through a working MVP that now can be tested. We've sold over 1,200 units in our early commercialization stages, and right now we're working towards entering the market at this scale. Our early commercialization work has been so far outside of the medical field that that is what provided us that learning experience in launching the hardware product on the market and tracking down that whole process and provide us some time to gain those medical connections that are necessary in the future as well. And that's where a lot of that funding was used to be able to develop the components like the organic lidocaine diode technology, which we do have our own materials to manufacture. That is how to manufacture the device. That is our second patent. And a third patent is really that power bank that enables the device to work not only with wires, but also wirelessly powered. As far as a team, myself, I have a PhD in nanoscale science. My background is in the engineering side of the technology. Our COO, Joe, has the medical background. He has been in the pharmaceutical industry for a long time and some of the medical devices. But we also have combination on the team from administration, sales, IP strategy, as well as the manufacturing side of things. Our current ask is expanding our connections in the chronic wound care specialists, so doctors specifically, because our main goal is to be as medically supported as possible. I'm pretty sure if you have been on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, you've seen those fake LED devices. Most of them are absolutely useless, so we want to fight a little bit of that stigma with support of the specialists. So there are some that already provide such treatments, but some that are very hesitant because of those fake devices. And we're also looking for some of the partners in the vivo testing to further test this technology in a laboratory setting to provide further background on why exactly this device works. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll start. Thanks for the presentation. It's really interesting technology. I was unsure on a couple of points, and I think you clarified it. On your patent position, your issued patents, it's on the technology behind the OLEDs, or is it the therapy?
So the patents themselves are on the light, on the way that you attach the light to the PCB and all of that, and the flexible PCB technology. And the third one we're currently about to submit is on the power bank. So that is in order to be able to wirelessly power the device so you're not attached to the cord at all times.
Okay, and that leads to my second question. And I appreciate you were differentiating how your product was performing better than the competitors. You mentioned that the current LED-based systems generate too much heat. And I was wondering if that's off the power supply or the wavelengths being used.
So the LEDs themselves generate too much heat. So the FDA requirement is that the device cannot reach 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And LEDs, usually after 20 minutes, they start to go beyond that point. So the usual time for therapies is about 20 minutes with LEDs on those topical devices, which isn't enough time to actually cause significant enough progress. The other problem with LEDs is that LED by default is a directional technology and you have to use diffusers, but you can only diffuse it to about 30 degrees. So you end up having a very spotty treatment instead of a uniform emission of light. All it is the opposite. So organic LED is 180 degree emission technology, so it enables to have more uniform coverage, and you can have a better area coverage, so you're actually targeting things as a whole instead of spotty.
Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. I've had the pleasure of talking to Margaret in the past, and I think you did a great job of drilling down on a specific market today. That was, and I think you did a great job of presenting a lot of technical information in a short period of time in a way that was understandable. So, way to go on that.
Thank you.
My 2 feedback points for you today would be continue to drill down on your total accessible market, because 5 billion is a lot. So if you can get down to which med spas, which types, which ones of those are you really going for? Because 5 billion is going to turn people off, because if you're not going to, in my opinion, you're not going to be able to, yes, that's good as the kind of the big circle, but you've got to say, these are the specific ones I'm aiming for that can benefit. And I think that would go a long way towards driving that focus in for people that are, that are determining whether they are your customer or whether they want to invest in the company. And then the second thing, the same thing on your business model, where it's very broad. Really get granular on how you're going to drive that. So those are 2, points that I could add to what was already a really good presentation. And as far as the wound care, what I'd add is I do have a colleague that I worked with in prior lives who is working in wound care for military applications, and having to make an
That would be more than phenomenal. Yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Great job, Margaret. I know we've talked throughout the years. I've been following your journey, so congratulations. You're definitely well on your way here, and I want to see you continue to do that. So the presentation was great. I think, again, you addressed it. I think it's important to figure out how you focus on the light therapy piece versus some of your other product offerings. So maybe tee that up sort of separately in some fashion during your presentation. And I think it's really important to re-emphasize as many times as you can during your presentation, these are not LEDs. Because the layman terms is we're getting rid of the old light bulbs and we're all moving to LEDs to save the planet. But this is even cooler and more advanced tech than that. So I think you have to get over that layman piece of it. And just to echo, I think what Lisa was saying is the niches are the riches, and I love to see you're going after the elite category of the med spas and the people that can afford to go to that kind of thing as a starting point to showcase traffic and get the continued market adoption. I was curious, so you did say 30%, and I was just curious, do you have some footnotes and evidence or clinical trials that sort of backs up 30% faster healing? I didn't hear you justify that and convince me that that's true or not, per se, so I wanted to see you speak to that briefly, if you could, on that piece.
Yeah, I say it, but so the study that we have performed already, we have data for, is in vivo cell treatment of this particular device. We received 23% increase after 30-minute treatment. So that is physical data that we already have proven. There is a way to maximize it, so that's why we're looking for partners to further test it and see what exact parameters, because there are many parameters you can play with in that manner. But that is real data that we already have achieved at the early stages.
So what was it?
Awesome.
That was a GLP study? I'm sorry. That was a GLP study or just benchtop?
Cell culture, yes, in cell culture. I'm not a bioscientist. I just hand it off and say, do it.
Okay.
If you ask me engineering, I'll answer anything. Anything bio, that's so far out of my league.
I mean, I guess when the laymen think of the wound treatment thing, we're thinking of making sure you get enough air on it or putting ointments on it and all of those kind of things on that front. So I don't think the natural course is to say, oh, I need light therapy on that. So
It is really not even for doctors too. I was just talking to a wound care specialist yesterday actually, and that's exactly what she was complaining. There's so many options, and it's difficult to choose combinations of the right things, and that's what she was complaining. There's too many things to do. But the goal is the same, right? Accelerate the wound healing, minimize the bacteria getting there, infections, scar tissue formation, whatnot. The goal is the same, right? So that's, as long as we can achieve that in less amount of steps, that's really what they care about. They don't care whether it's a light or a bandage or what that is really, right? They need that outcome.
So I think, again, some sort of emphasis on educating people that the light therapy is the new thing and stuff, so.
Just to add on to what Brian's saying, hospital-acquired infections, and is there a way that it can be used to prevent that, and to prevent them from, accelerating once they get to a certain stage? Where you could apply this as a way to prevent progression. I think that would be a very interesting thing rather than treating the infection, because the hospitals are penalized
Exactly
for every patient that acquires an infection there. So, but that's not med spas, so these are two different things, right? There's
and one is much longer path. So that's
like hospitals and med spas are two different areas. So just pick one.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for great feedback.